Hello and welcome again to another episode of Indiepocalypse Radio, your one-part interview show, most parts casual post-con style conversation. I'm your host, Andrew, the editor, and etc., all that stuff about Indiepocalypse. Today we have two guests, once again freed from the shackles of having anything to do with... no, that has a negative that's not a negative spin to it, I think. I would say sometimes we get guests outside of Indiepocalypse, and this time we have two guests outside of it. Our first guest you may know from the world of just making their own games and releasing them, and also working on a lot of other people's games, from games such as Mixolumia and Corefault. It's Dave Hoffman. Dave, how are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm all finally got the show all set up. I need to do a one mild thing, which is only for me.
You know what?
Mostly.
No, make it spicy.
No, it's very mild.
All right.
It's just me adjusting the name of my host title, a thing that I know I care about. Whether another person does, it's a true mystery. But we're not worried about that. We're worried about the show here today. So if people are unfamiliar, also I took a stab at a credit when people work on a lot of different things. Where would you put? Would you put those as your top credits?
I think my top credit is Mixolumia.
Yes.
Yeah. Then I made some Playdate games. Your audience is probably familiar with the Playdate handheld console from Panic, the little yellow thing with a crank.
I would assume so. I would assume it's a knowledgeable bunch, or at least yeah.
Yeah. You have an audience that is smart and well informed and handsome and
One can only hope. I don't interact directly with them.
Yeah. Well, no, you got to keep that barrier.
Yes, I'm a master of keeping barriers between myself and all sorts of other people.
Yeah, I think being in any public position where you're making brilliant work, like us,
right? Yes.
You have to keep that division.
Right. I of course, I'm glad we're on the same page, and we were talking about not the casual position distance between creator and audience in terms of just my life versus your life, but instead the peering down ivory tower position, which is we are far above the rest.
Yeah.
Vertical
I like
distance.
to think of myself as sort of a Saruman in my tower. You know, I'm getting things done.
Yes.
But nobody speaks to me.
People often confuse you with another guy who's bigger and more powerful.
Yeah. That's not accidental.
No, it's just
your best bud builds a tower. You want a piece of that tower action.
Yeah, you guys listen, you both got big towers, basically the same name.
Yeah.
It's liable to happen, but hey, if I'm a Saruman,
I don't know much about Lord of the Rings. I read that Sauron isn't that guy's name.
It's okay. So I was reading into this at some point. Sauron is there's another plane. He's like some kind of let's just call him for the sake of broad, fictional things. Is he like one of those forebearer celestial being? Is he? I feel like he's from another dimension. Actually,
I thought he was just a jerk.
I think he is,
but maybe. I don't know, but I'm told that Sauron is like a bad word. It means like smelly boy.
Oh.
And he doesn't like it. And he tried to be like, please call me magnificent boy. And they were like, no, you're smelly boy.
Yeah,
Sauron.
He's got, he's of them. Well, we're not going to sit in,
well, why not?
Listen, plenty of podcasts are just people reading Wikipedia with a couple steps removed.
Sure, that's true. But yeah, we're talking about games here.
Yes. So, Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle Earth.
Which is a game I made.
Yeah, oh, let me. I'm looking here on Moby Games, and I missed that you had
Well,
the.
it's that you can't trust Moby Games. It's very inaccurate.
Yes.
It's actually a big problem that people can just say they worked on games and like nobody can check. But I did make that game.
Yeah, it makes sense because I often hear most researched games in the past week: Wolfenstein 3D and Jazz Jackrabbit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Very weird. Like I understand why, but it's very weird to see most research professional on Moby Games, Donald Sutherland. a
Excuse
lot.
me?
A lot of people apparently following his death, are looking up his page on Moby Games to learn that he worked on Kingdom Under Fire and KGB.
Wow. Prolific. I didn't know he died. I'm sorry. I've been out of the loop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was very old also.
Yeah, okay.
He was like 80, 90. He was not a young man.
Yeah. I most associate him with the Hunger Games.
Okay.
Speaking of games and Donald Sutherland, but
Yes.
he doesn't get credit on Moby Games for the Hunger Games.
Well, I think Hunger Games are
That's
technically sports entertainment, not video games.
that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Like, because then Moby Games be flooded with WWE wrestlers and everything. Ones that aren't in video games. I mean, like every single jobber that ever worked a local would be on Moby Games, and that seems impractical. But no,
That makes sense.
I know him as a younger guy. Honestly, I've never seen Hunger Games. There's a birds. There's something with birds, I think, in my brain.
Sure. I mean, I think most actors have to put in their time making Birds movies.
Yeah.
That's just like the rules.
Angry Birds, the
Yeah,
rest.
the Angry Birds. He was in the Angry Birds movie. Like, you know. We keep saying, when are we going to have the Citizen Kane of video games? And in Hollywood, they're saying, when are we going to have the Angry Birds of movies?
And I bet, the thing is, I think they got there because they made the Angry Birds movie, and no one's made Citizen Kane the video game yet.
Yeah, they got us.
Or did someone? I honestly, listen. We joke around sometimes on the show, but this is a serious question. Did some industrious developer try to make a Citizen Kane video game?
That's actually what I'm working on right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to change everything, and then everyone will recognize me. It's gonna be great.
It'll do exciting things with cameras.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to dig a hole in the floor to put a camera in there, like Orson Welles.
And you come from a background of theater, so you're kind of not quite exactly familiar how game development works.
You've done your research and you know about my extensive theater.
Yes. Extensive theater background. I did a quick search does show that Dreamfield made a Citizen Kane game at some point.
Oh, good, because I've been wanting. Like, I haven't watched it, and I don't want to, but I would play a video game, because I do think it's the better medium.
Yeah, that's why they're making Stalker 2, a thing Tarkovsky could never dare to do.
Yeah.
Why?
Stalker.
Yeah.
Stalker 2.
Right. Why?
I think what if they did make like a new Stalker, but they put like The Rock in it? Like a movie, and they got like Christopher Nolan to make it, and this time there were like monsters.
That does feel like everyone else's approach to Other Side Roadside Picnic. I was confusing with another one that also has monsters and guns. But I feel like also Roadside Picnic also has monsters and maybe guns.
Oh, really?
I think
I,
Roadside
mm,
Picnic does.
that sounds awesome. Someone should make a game of that.
I think they did. They called it Stalker. But is the Christopher Nolan Stalker not just that? Did they, who made their version of? I mean, Solaris of course was also from something else. But who made Steven Soderbergh's Solaris? Is that just not would be what Christopher Nolan's version of Stalker would be?
Okay, I am gonna step in and defend the Soderbergh Solaris.
Never seen it. I'm not casting dispersions on it. I'm just casting differences on
Oh,
it.
okay. No dispersions
Yes.
then. All right. I s- this might be the part of me that is like the speed racer defender.
Yeah.
Where I like move. Although I feel like people have come around to speed
Yeah.
racer. But
You're talking to
this is
someone.
like the Jupiter ascending defender in me. And
You're in good company. I gleefully watched Riccio, the story of Ricky, last night.
I liked the Soderbergh Solaris. I thought it did interesting things, and it was also aesthetically extremely Y2K. Uh, there is a background actor wearing the over the top Oakley's shades in one shot, and that just brings me joy. I don't, whatever else you do with the rest of your movie, you put
Right.
the over the top Oakley's shades in your movie, and you're golden.
I am flying through this thing, and now I'm wondering. I'm asking one question: Have I ever seen a single Steven Soderbergh movie? The answer might be no.
I don't know what else he's done.
Oh, yeah, of course, Aaron Brockovich. He does the Ocean's movies. Anyway,
Oh, sure, those are fun.
no, I saw The Informant. I've seen The Informant. Um, but we're back to Wikipedia again. Games,
Yeah.
though. Dave, you made some games. We mentioned a couple of them. Uh, if people don't know what those games are, what would you say they
Hmm.
are?
Mixolumia is imagine Tetris.
Got it. Blocks fall down, but then you get rid of them.
But what if the board wasn't a rectangle?
Okay.
It was like um the gem, like a rupee from Zelda.
Okay. Yes.
And the blocks, the whole grid is like 45 degrees. They're diamonds instead of blocks, and they all slide together down at the point there. And so you can kind of play it like you're Bejeweled, where you kind of just drop blocks and watch it
Yeah.
go. Or if you're a sicko, you can devise some of the most mind-rending combo setups. And it sounds like I'm like talking like I'm a genius. I didn't figure this out. The players figured out
Right. Right.
how to play this like 11-dimensional chess. Because although it is chaotic, it is not random, and you can figure out how things slide together. And when people get good at this game, and there's like 5 players who are really good at it. Um, it is a sight to behold if you are sort of into what's going on. So, but there's nice music that reacts to what you're doing. There's fancy effects, and it kind of hypnotizes you, and you lose minutes to hours. Hours become days. That
Yeah.
sort of thing. If it gets into you.
Right.
Um,
But,
it's kind of a minimalist game in that if you don't like dropping the blocks, there's nothing else for you. There's no RPG. There's no
I don't slowly upgrade
roguelike.
my blocks to get better blocks.
No, there's no. You're not going to get Well, you get points, but the
Right.
points are just for your own satisfaction.
I can't simply. It's not of the modern game design cloth of I don't really need to play the game. If I play the game long enough, it'll eventually win
Right.
itself.
And what I've discovered is that that's a terrible way to make money.
Oh, yes.
If people can play your game for 2 minutes and put it down because it's not for them, uh, then you've failed, and you need to be more exploitative uh, if you want to really make it in this business. This is my advice to young developers is like, put away your morals and your ideas of good design, and just try and be as exploitative as possible. This is not I'm not being serious here.
No, no.
Um, but I am kind of I'm working on something now that because I made a game called Core Fault for the Playdate with a friend who goes by Squid God online.
Yeah.
And that game had more to chew on as far as like an upgrade progression, multiple runs, that sort of thing. Where I was really happy with how we made it feel, and you sort of I was guided by the spirit of Morrowind, where you start off and everything is overwhelming and you're slow, and it sucks. Uh, but and then by the end you feel like a god, because you're so overpowered.
Right.
That was the feeling I was going for. And that longer progression, where the experience fundamentally changes. I've come to appreciate that, and I think that you can do it without being exploitative or create a terrible Skinner box or something.
Right, right. I think that's just
So
like a thing you're more like actively engaging with, because in the Morrowind analogy, you're doing a lot of stuff on your path there.
yeah,
You're not kind of
yeah,
like repeating a task.
it's the contrast that makes the end feel so good,
Yeah.
because you remember where you came from. Uh, it gets harder on subsequent game. Like if the Elder Scrolls games, we don't need to go into, but I that was sort of what I wanted to let players do in Core Fault. Be terrified of this dark. I should summarize the game. It's inspired by Vampire Survivors. You are controlling little robots that go underground and dig for ore on an alien planet. And there are monsters down there, lots of monsters, and your only control is the crank on the playdate, which controls the direction. Your robot is always moving, and you upgrade weapons that auto attack, and you're weaving your way through these enemies. And at first, you're very slow and very weak, and it's scary. And then by the end, you're a killing machine.
Yeah. The kind of uh, RPG is, I feel like a thing that sometimes needs to get reevaluated in the modern, because mostly because it's crept its way into everything.
It did for a while. Like now, it's the roguelike thing is in everything, which honestly I love. I love a roguelike. Uh, but yeah, it was everything had to have RPG stats for a
Right.
while there.
I, well, they combine the both of them, where you get the modern roguelike, which is a roguelike where you earn level ups or whatever between rounds,
Mm-hmm.
or between runs,
Yeah.
such that you are getting better. It quote unquote solves the problem with rogue, which is that you have to, that it's random, and each run is equal to each prior run. So your first one you could win, or your 7,000th one that could be your win, and nothing really changes besides your own personal skill and the randomness of the map.
I've reached a point in my life where I'm busy.
Yeah.
I don't have a great attention span at the end of the day when I want to play a game. And I pick up like a long form game and I don't remember what I was doing. I don't remember what was going on. I don't remember where to go. And I like the arcadiness of a lot of modern indies, especially where they don't care if I remember because you're starting over every time, but you get a full experience. You get to start from square one every
Yeah,
time you sit down. Yeah.
because
But
right.
you by the end you get to feel like you've hit the end of a game, right? Uh, that
Yeah,
that's what I have space in my life for right now.
it's the kind of yeah, right, arcade style of just playing a session of a game. It's like the single player version, I say, of um, arcade, not arcade, of like playing a game of any kind of like multiplayer, playing a couple of matches of
Mm.
your favorite multiplayer game, but you're just playing by
Mm-hmm.
yourself and you're
Yeah.
playing, X
Yeah.
inserts. You're playing a couple of rounds of Mixolumia, for example. But instead, you were just like, oh yeah, it's because games are all sorts of different things.
They
But
really are. I've This is a drum that I beat all the time is that like people talk about video games and they kind of talk about genres of video games, but
yeah,
I really do think that it's like seven different mediums
yes,
secretly, like in a trench coat.
I, I've been saying on this almost every week, as in, like, imagine if we called every piece of recorded video movies,
That's yeah.
and that's kind of like
It's
our approach to games.
it's wild because it's like the only thing they have in common is that it's software, right? Like
Right.
you talk to people and it's like I like visual novels, uh, and it's like you the experience that you like is characters and dialogue and art, and then you have somebody who's like I like the like indie game that's just like squares pretending to be wizards,
Yeah.
uh and there is no story, there is no characters, it's 100% mechanics. They're completely different things. They've got completely different draws. They do different things. They're different, but they're both video games.
Right. They both
Uh,
get lumped into this weird same category.
yeah.
But there's something else that exists within a giant lumped together category, Dave, and that's rocks. I have an important question for you.
Okay.
Um, what's your favorite type of rock?
Wow. Uh, I like a rock with some good moss on it, but I feel like maybe that's not about the rock. That's more about the moss. So, what is I have a rock that a teacher gave me years ago. I was in college and I was having a difficult time, and a teacher who was very kind gave me a rock. Uh, and it's a very smooth rock. It's one of those rocks that was worn smooth by water, and it has these striations in it. And I guess the story is that it's it's some I wish I could remember this properly. It's like a traveling rock or something. It has a special name, and the story is that like the rock that it's from is from the other side of a big lake, and then through forces of nature over time, it moves across the lake, and then they find them on the other side. And it was given to me as sort of this like talisman of like you can get through this, you can get through to the other side, and I thought that was really nice. And I found it recently. We just did a big move, uh, and it had been in like a box or something somewhere, and I found it recently. And yeah, thinking about that rock.
Oh, that's a perfect example of a favorite rock. And to follow up, now this one is optional, in that you may not have an answer for it.
Okay,
But
I'll make one.
do you have a favorite Toho character?
Uh, I like Kramer.
Okay. Yes. The thing that bugs me about Kramer is that I'm in the middle of a boss fight, and Kramer traditionally
He just
just barges in.
breaks down the door. Yeah,
Yes,
right?
and I'm not ready to fight like two bosses at once, like unless I'm in a particular flow state.
Right. Yeah. And he's
Perfect.
so wide. Like he's got the unpredictable movements.
Yeah, no, this kind of like
Yeah.
this sort of manic energy sort of thing to it. It's like how to makes it difficult, and the thing that is so like pattern based. Oh, unfortunate that I could not find a Toho Kramer. Not everything exists on the internet, I guess.
Well, there's so many Toho games, they can't screenshot them all.
That's true. That's
And,
true.
we're connoisseurs, so we know the deep cuts.
Right. So it must not. I must. That's the problem with modern search engines. I can tell it exactly what I want, and it still doesn't give me what I want.
I mean, we're playing the classic Toho on our PC 98
Yeah.
devices that we own and, aren't
100%.
available to the general public. So maybe it's up to us to make those Kramer screenshots
To be
to really document the history of Toho and the best ones that, like, these people who call themselves fans haven't played.
Well, okay. Well, we're not going to start shaming people for being fake Toho fans. We have to be an opening and welcoming environment for people.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Sorry,
all.
fake Toho fans.
Listen, that's what the break zone is for shaming fake Toho fans, but not
The what?
the break zone when we go on break and no one can hear us anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's when we'll really let them have it.
I'm not about to get. I've got a big crowdfunding campaign coming up in 2 days. I can't get canceled by the game dev community.
I mean, it works both ways. Then you get the Toho haters on your side.
Oh my gosh.
They'll open up their wallets for you.
Now this is okay. There's a possibility, but we can't get into that now. Dave, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We're gonna go on break as soon as I have to rearrange. Get my windows all arranged because I've put cover art now, so I have to make sure that I can't ever close FooBar. I can't ever minimize it, or move it around or anything. So it has to occupy a window. But we'll be back on the other half of about 1 minute and 52 seconds. Goodbye for now. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Lo-Fi Beats for Marketing by, hey, look at that, it was Dave Makes, the person who's just on the show. We are here with another person, the teased non-game developer person, but the games is a wide field. And you may know our next guest from the YouTube series Pixel a Day. What you call it? Now the phrasing around YouTube is really warped in my brain. I'm like, is this a YouTube series? Or are you anyway? It's Kat. Hello, Kat.
So good to be on. Good morning, good evening.
Yes, good afternoon, good for whatever time you are listening to this, whether it's past, present, or well, not past. I hope not past. I hope people are not somehow able to do that.
Coming to you from Sunday morning,
Yes.
Melbourne time, and it's a very frosty morning here in Melbourne.
Oh, it's a sweltering evening here in New England.
I've woken up at the very, very early time of 8:30 a.m. to be here with you.
Oh, well, I'm sorry for getting up before even the roosters have awoken. To
8:30 is early.
Yeah, I wish I could. I have to work a job which requires me to get up at 6-ish.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, but they give me money, and money allows me to survive, so it's a compromise we agreed upon.
Money can be used to buy many pizzas.
It can.
Frank.
I've been asked. I had to answer that question recently, but what is that for? And it's an uninteresting response. But I was like, it's one of those weird things when you have a screen name, you don't want to ever, what's the word I'm looking for? Be forced to reckon with it,
Yep, like that cringe email address that you made when you were 15.
Yes. You're like, okay.
Use.
Listen, I use this. It's my Hotmail. It works. It's reliable. It's got good SEO. I'm just sticking with it. You never call me. Just call me Andrew. I'm not. But no, we mentioned at the top. But if people are unfamiliar with Pixel a Day, how would you describe your work there with it, at it?
It's a YouTube channel where I analyze games as art, I guess.
Yes.
I don't review games. Every time I'm at a party and like one of my friends brings up my YouTube channel and is like, she makes videos reviewing games, I'm gonna be like, I don't review games. I critically analyze games.
Yes, which is adjacent to reviewing them, perhaps. But
I don't give games a score out of 10.
Yes,
I
right.
just ramble about. Well, sometimes I do deep dives into games and their meanings and how they make me feel, and sometimes I'll pick a theme or an idea or a feeling or something that I think there's like maybe 2 or 3 games that explore that really well.
Yeah.
So I'll do a video on that topic, like mystery. I did a video on mystery and how games create mystery, or I did a video on how Rain World and Outer Wilds create a feeling of awe and respect for nature as a big thing that we're small and helpless in the face of.
Yeah, and
and so on and so forth.
Right, and that sort of thinking almost kind of really like correlates back to sort of what we we're talking about in the first segment of like genres and meaninglessness of them, and sometimes games like Rain World and Outer Wilds are closer to each other even than a lot of games that are gameplay similar to each individual game. Like
yeah, and that's more interesting to me. I think it's like drawing those threads between media that are less commonly drawn,
right?
But are cool. Just like games like, oh, I don't know, these games made me feel a certain way. I'm going to talk about that for half an hour.
Right.
and then maybe talk about also a film or a book or I don't know, some my life experiences or whatever else I feel like talking about in relation to that. So, I give myself free rein to wander around, hopefully in a way that's compelling and people find interesting. Speaking
Right.
of genres, I did do a video defending walking simulators.
Yeah, and like even that genre itself is like
Genre itself, like, yeah, what is that?
right. It's such a wide spectrum of works,
I just like walking simulators. I think they're neat.
Yeah, right. They're
There you go.
they're like also it shows the fun inherent weakness of genre naming in games. Because
And our conversation comes at a very very perfect time because I just released a video last night about
Yes.
indie games. Oh, did you see it?
I did not watch it, but as I was clicking on your page, I'm like, oh, this is a new video that just came up. I'm like 12 hours ago.
I made it just for my appearance on this show.
Oh,
So
perfect.
It was a nice coincidence.
You're right. Indiepocalypse, of course, the home of mediocre indie games. So we're here to have. That's unfair. That was a joke. I sometimes I like to make jokes, but then I realize, in context, people, when you're not doing a strictly comedy show, people sometimes don't know what a joke is.
Oh God! I mean, when you're a YouTuber,
Yes.
you're never not in that frame of mind of like, how will people misinterpret this thing that I've said like 20 different ways?
Right.
And we'll see.
Right. So so I'm like, oh, that is a sensible joke in my brain, but someone's like, oh, he secretly thinks all those games are bad.
Trust yourself. Trust the voice within. Make
Right.
the joke.
Right, because I'm like, it's the weird thing about bad faith on the internet of like, why would this person do like it's like you're taking a snippet and being unaware of someone's like. It'd be like if someone saw just that thumbnail for that and go, this cat person hates video games, hates indie games, thinks all indie games are mediocre. Not.
Yeah, I just know that there are people that that did think that, but
Right.
okay. You also can't assume that people have like seen your entire oeuvre and
Right.
know context of you and what you believe. But sometimes it's pretty funny when someone just has clearly watched one video and been like, I don't know, commented and made some assumption about you that you're like, you haven't watched any of my other things, have you?
Right. You're just.
But you can't assume that.
No, but you also.
An entry point. Every video will be someone's first.
Yeah,
And so.
And it's the tricky thing about the internet. Everyone like bouncing back and forth, especially if like in making YouTube videos. A lot of times I'll see like a particular creator will have like their often have like a breakthrough video that just hits the right topic at the right time or something like that. And that is
I wouldn't know.
That is. There's still time, There's always room for hastily. Just have you considered hastily slapping together, just like scouring, whatever, Twitter for.
Elden Ring, people like that, right? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Elden Ring.
Yes, yeah.
People like that. The DLC just came out. I don't know. I should have made a 5-minute video about that instead of a 1-hour video about Stray and Dave the Diver. That's the thing.
As someone who has not played Stray, can I just say I remember people. What was that?
It's your show.
I remember like a lot of talk about it leading up to it. I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's such a different, like this kind of like it's a different. You're a cat exploring space. It's a different kind of video game. And then I remember watching someone play it, and within like 5 minutes, like the cat got a companion that did the talking for them. They climbed onto painted surfaces and platform. They pushed a crate into a thing and it knocked something down, and they ran away in a combat sequence. And I'm like, oh, this is just a video game still. It's just a down the middle, straight ahead video game.
It's baffling because it really felt to me like it's just like it feels like exactly like every single other light puzzle platformer I've ever played in the last.
Yeah, I recently played that Plague game. What's the name of the Plague game? Plague Tale, I'm gonna call it. I forget the name of it.
Plague Tale, yeah.
I played that on Game Pass around that time before I saw them. Like, oh, this someone just found and replaced that game, but did find and replace with cat in place of human.
Yeah, it's really just an indie light puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Where you just move around and jump and occasionally carry things and talk to an NPC. I don't know.
No.
Even just describing it, I don't know how to describe how like average I found it in terms of concept and gameplay. Like
Yeah.
it really is. It's just your very standard light puzzle platformer, except there's a cat. But it looks very nice. Like
Yes.
that's the way it distinguishes itself. Is it's beautiful. It's a completely gorgeous game. It's very shiny.
And that is, but that also a lot of that is like, I mean, the fellow with his hands around the cat in the thumbnail, this Dave fellow. It's also a perfect encapsulation of like games is such an intensely aesthetic forward medium, I guess. Where like, oh, they both look like, or it, Stray looks like something different, or Dave Diver looks like an indie game because it has pixels.
I mean, when I saw the trailers, I thought it looked interesting.
Right.
Because it just looked like kind of a cat exploring a strange world, and I thought this looks cool. Like it might genuinely be like a spooky, alienating experience. I don't know. And then it just turned out to be like, yeah, you get a robot, and then you can just chat to the NPCs through the robot, and then it's just like any other game. It really like. So funny that the first 15 minutes of Stray is like the best bit of Stray because it's not like the rest of the game. Like,
Yeah.
You're genuinely just like a cat in a strange world. I was like, I had an idea of what I wanted this game to be that was much better than I think what the game ended up being.
Right. And I wonder, like, I feel like maybe a lot of people had that similar impression of like not just think you're a cat walking around. So if they had just made that game, would it have done worse?
They made the game where you're actually a cat.
Yeah.
And like you can't speak English. You know?
Right.
You're actually a cat, and you would actually like explore a weird environment where you maybe didn't you couldn't communicate, and you actually had to use your various cat-like behaviors in really meaningful ways.
Right, and maybe you didn't have to do box pushing puzzles.
Yeah, but anyway, people are going to see that
Yes.
title and the thumbnail, and they're going to think that I hate Stray and Dave the Diver, but I didn't hate them. I like them just fine. They're fine.
Yeah, right.
They're okay. Like, I'm not saying they're bad games. In fact, I do say that I like a lot of what they do. They do many things well.
Right, and that's like, but middle of the road is not hate. It's kind of, oh, I like it, but
No, exactly. It's weird. It's just people don't recognize that there's a middle, and they're like, "Oh, you hate Stray." 'Cause
yeah, I like.
they assume that if you I mean, I guess this is just the nature of discourse, I guess.
Right.
To say on the internet, usually I hate this thing or I love this thing, and opinions about things being middle of the road you don't usually see those in like an hour-long video.
No, and they don't generate like engagement online. Be like, I thought this thing was fine.
Yeah. I mean, there are creators that do nuanced takes,
Yeah.
like long-form nuanced takes, but they are the minority.
Right.
But anyway, I hope people enjoy that video.
Yeah.
It's not just about Train Dave the Diver. Half of it is just me talking about what I think indie games are and should be, and my frustrations with how the bigger industry awards and treats indie games, and which indie games, quote unquote, perhaps it props up and or ignores.
Right. It is a thing I think about a lot.
It's not just me.
No,
It's not just me thinking about this constantly.
No, I mean, well, when you spend 4.5 years publishing indie game anthologies, you start to wonder, what are all the people that say they love indie games? Where are they?
You're not just constantly thinking about Jeff Keighley and Al Pacino yelling God of War Ragnarok on a loop in your head all the time.
I'll be honest with you, I never think about Jeff Keighley in my life. Nary a moment does that man enter my thoughts.
Oh, that's so fortunate. That's so good for you.
We may as well be in separate industries.
Never watch the Game Awards, man. That is like cursed knowledge. Once you've seen
Never
it,
have.
you can't unsee it.
Never have. Don't. It occupies a space next to in my heart with like the Grammys. Will never watch them. I have no reason to watch them.
Yeah, totally. That's correct. That's the correct way to live.
If I
guess
if I wanted to watch
aside.
video game trailers, I would just start 30 YouTube videos in a row and just watch the trailers before all of them. Then I would get the Game Awards experience.
Pretty much. That would be a much better experience than the Game Awards, because you wouldn't have to watch Jeff Keighley making awkward jokes that don't get a laugh from the audience.
That's I mean also
and watching senile old like celebrities that they paid so much money to stand awkwardly on stage and mispronounce the names of the nominees.
But they're a real medium because Al Pacino was there. That's how you know video games are a real medium now.
He was there. That is correct.
He was
physically there. I'm not sure if he was like there in any other way than purely physically. Oh,
is he no different than your friend at the party? He's like, oh, you review video games, right? It feels like the equivalent of your relatives who are asking about that video game thing you do. It's an odd, like, weird, desperate need for validation.
I know. It's so embarrassing. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to be able to make a video and just get all that embarrassment and frustration out by yelling at the camera for half an hour, and then you feel better. So, I hope that it's clear in the video that I'm coming from a place of love for indie games.
Yeah.
And like obviously the indie games I love are the kinds of games that you celebrate and talk about. So. Right.
Yeah. I saw earlier on Patreon. I was not expecting to come up so soon. I saw you had 2 interviews. With Drokin and Sylvie in this upcoming video. They are past contributors, friends of the show, kind of like that's and those 2 have been how long have those 2 been making indie games?
Yeah, they make awesome games, and I mean I made a whole video, half of which was just me raving about Starseed Pilgrim.
Right, and when did Starseed Pilgrim come out? My God. Starseed Pilgrim is 11 years old almost.
But what a game.
Yeah.
I still think about it all the time. I didn't play it until recently, like a few years ago. 2013. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't hear about this game before. Everyone should hear about this game. It's
Yeah,
so
I
good.
remember it was like there was sort of 2013. It was 2013 was like also a very different space in games, or like indie game like attention and space changed around a lot. You know, it's kind of like people weren't spending as much money to be called indie games, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, that's exactly what I talk about in the video as well. Like how much the scene has changed to the
Right.
point where indie meant something very different 10 years ago.
Right,
Like
right.
now indie can mean anything from one person making a game in an hour, um, to uh, a multi-million-dollar project backed by $1 billion studio.
Yes, and in the public consciousness, the latter often has advertising dollars, so that is often the broader term of indie, and that's
And
how
will
it's.
be nominated for Best Independent Game at various awards shows,
Yes.
which we won't say which ones.
No, would never dare to, because why would I? I don't think about him.
No, exactly.
I'm
So why
assuming
would
that's the
you?
one. No, it is true because I did see a thing, and I think he's. Did he say something like sometimes indie games are just vibes, uh, or something to that effect?
Oh, who said that?
Jeff Keighley did it. Did he say something to
Oh,
that effect about Dave the Diver? I forget what the exact quote was.
yes, you said Dave the Diver has a spirit of indie, which I thought was very funny.
And I assume that just means it has pixels in it to him.
I don't know in what other way they could think that game was indie. There's no other thing that it does is even remotely indie.
Yeah, it's really an odd space to exist in.
It's so weird. Like the industry kind of killed off the mid-size game, the mid-size studio
Yeah,
15, 20 years ago. And
or
to
yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
no.
No, I was where my cursor idled was on the Dark Souls Miyazumata video. So this little guy sliding down a hill, and I was thinking, FromSoft used to be like that kind of mid-ground uh, studio in a lot of ways. Until like it feels like that's what happened. They either got big hits and like are thriving, or they just died out.
Yeah, I know. And then we just got this space. We've been in this space for 20 years, which is just like games and studios are mainly really just either AAA or indie.
Right.
Um,
And
but now I guess that gap is being filled again,
right
which is
by
great. I mean, it's a big gap and it should be filled.
right, and it's being spilled by like this kind of like more whatever people want to call them, whether it's like triple I or double A or
But the industry is still just calling all of that indie, which is
yes,
very funny.
right. You know, 20 years ago, whatever, FromSoft would be indie, I guess, putting out Kingsfield.
Mm. Yeah,
And
now they're well into AAA territory. They seem to have gone. They seem to have made the go big choice,
yeah,
which is their choice.
but like that weird stuff like comes out of that like mid-budget space, I think, like where an individual could make a kind of, or like a small basically unfunded team could make those sort of mid-budgety styles of games. It would just take them 12 years or whatever. Like how long did Outer Wilds take? Like 11 or 12 years to make?
Original Demon Souls, was that AAA?
I'm gonna say yes.
I mean, I know that it was a fairly big budget as far as
Yeah,
things go. Even that, like the original demons in the first Dark Souls, had a bit of an indie spirit to them, in a
yeah,
way. Like they were doing the opposite. They were going the opposite way, um, from what most of AAA was like trending. Like the
right,
trend was these linear cinematic adventures, or like making things a little bit more easy and glossy, and it was all going that direction. And then the Souls game just went whoop, no.
right. They just kind of FromSoft
Opposite.
had just like kept on doing what they've been doing for like 20 years, except this time is like people are like, we like it this time. We like it.
That is still my favorite era of
Yeah.
Souls. You know, like that slightly rough early period.
Now, have you played like any of their early like have you played any Kingsfield or like Shadow Tower before yet?
I haven't.
Oh.
No, I've only heard of them.
I personally highly recommend Shadow Tower. And I think you probably Kingsfield 2 or US 2 or 3, English 2 or 3 or 4. Or 4 I think is pretty good. I played through a lot of the games recently. Within the last year or so.
A lot of people have. Yeah, it's good to see people revisiting the back catalog.
Yeah, and they're very cool things. Like, and you do realize, oh, these are very much the exact same, or like they come from these. You see the design ethos trickling through from like the PS1 to the PS3 of the stuff they like to make.
Yeah, and it seems like with Elden Ring they just decided to keep even since like Dark Souls 2-ish, with Souls 2 and 3 and Elden Ring. Yeah, it seems like they've just kept just iterating a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, bit by bit on each subsequent entry, and I've felt the series smooth out.
Yeah.
From those earlier titles, and the more smooth they get, the less I like them actually.
Right. I wonder if that's like, classic, suffering from success almost.
Oh no, I mean,
Yeah.
they're doing very well. Elden Ring has done very well. I'm very happy for them. Like, I'm happy that they've achieved mainstream recognition and success. And, they're a great studio. They deserve it and all of that. It's just, for me personally, that's not the direction that I would have preferred
Right.
the series to go. I would have preferred them to keep that that strangeness and that alienness that they had at the beginning. That's what I loved about the early games.
And that's where I think we'll just find the next generation, that's why partially where you need like those mid-range guys, because those mid-range guys are people who are making, they don't have to worry as much about sustaining things, or they do, but like it's not like, oh, we're huge now, you have to keep making huge things, or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
I was just talking about
Sorry.
this with Jacob Geller and Blake Hester on their podcast a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Hellblade 2, and just how you can kind of see the smoothing effect that all of that Microsoft money has had from Hellblade 1 to Hellblade 2.
right.
Like there's just something about being really well funded and having a bigger team that means you just can't take those creative risks. You can't make bonkers game design decisions on the fly.
Right, because there's that you're hitting that assumption that people need what the theoretical audience wants, so you have to make sure you're not too off-putting. I kind of got a couple of questions
Why
for
not?
you.
Be off-putting, damn it.
Yes, no, I love the off-putting, and I've got a couple questions for you now. I hope you're prepared. First off, what's your favorite type of rock?
Oh, I should have thought about this, shouldn't I? I had like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've ever thought about which type of rocks are best or compared different types of rocks.
That's fine.
I feel that they all have their benefits, and I don't want to be a rock supremacist.
Oh, that's a very diplomatic answer. Truly uncancelable answer. What now?
In other words, I don't know.
Yes, right. And follow-up, do you have a favorite Toho character?
Well, see, here's the thing about Toho Project.
Yes.
Toho Project, also known simply as Toho, meaning Eastern or Oriental, is a bullet hell shoot 'em up video game series created by independent Japanese Dojin soft developer Team Shanghai Alice.
Yes, also known as Jun,
And oh right, well,
the individual,
I
of
totally
course.
didn't just
Well, I'm speaking to a fellow Toho expert,
that
so
out from the wiki.
right.
I don't know anything about Toho.
Well, that's fine. And Kat, that's why that question's due. It's simply a question we ask. We being me.
Genre, bullet hell, dumb
Yeah.
muck, shoot 'em up, fighting, block breaker.
Yes, yeah, they were.
Developer Team Shanghai Alice, Twilight Frontier. Publisher Team Shanghai Alice. Creator Jun. Platform NEC PC 9800. Microsoft Windows PlayStation.
Oh, you're starting from the very beginning. Well, listen, we're gonna go on break, and I'll give you time to sprint through the entirety of the Toho catalog. Thank you for joining.
It's super long too.
Yeah, this is only like 20 entries in the mainline series.
It would take me a long time to read all of these.
Very long, detailed articles.
There's a graph even.
Yes.
Like, there's a chart in here. How often do you see that?
Only for the greatest collections of works, honestly, and bands with a lot of members. But
There's
that's
a timeline. There's like a visual timeline.
you
Anyway, pass. Skip. Next.
Yes, we are going on break. Thank you, Kat, for being here with me today and chatting. We'll be back in about 1 minute and 34 seconds. Goodbye for now. Good. Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Paper Jam, also by artist Dave Makoff, the Executive Golf EP. We're back with both guests, Kat and Dave are both here. Hello.
Hello.
Weird.
So,
Yes.
Shadow Tower received an average of 49%.
Yes.
Review aggregated.
That's the other thing people forget is that FromSoft was a middle of the road developer in like every sense of the word. Like,
I mean, it's just making me more interested to play the game, honestly.
yeah, because like they're
Not
like,
even
it's so
50, didn't even
inspiring.
hit the midway.
when a maker of games becomes so influential, just like such a part of the fabric of like how we talk about games, and they had to earn it by being just like the most middling, like languishing, middle of the road, mediocre, underappreciated, really.
yes,
Developer for so long. Like they had to put their time in. And I just, that's inspiring to me and really makes me feel better about being like entirely mediocre right now.
You're right. I have been increasingly thinking. I think I joked at some point of like Indiepocalypse is a thing that is definitely like you don't get it now. You're not ready for this, but your kids will love it. Uh, and each year I go, oh shit, I think I was true.
Can I share with you, because you were having the whole what is an indie discussion, which
Right.
has been, a lot of people have discussed this, and
Yeah.
I just I want to put my little stake in the ground here, and I'm done being an indie. I don't find any use for the title.
Yeah.
I want to pitch a new thing. I'm a cockroach developer.
Ooh.
Yes. That.
This is the vibe that I want to bring to the table. Because I talk to other, when you're in this space, you wind up at people's, you wind up going out to dinners with people and meeting people, and you're both indies except one of you has $1 million.
Right.
And I think that's great. Like, I'm very happy for my successful indie friends, but I I think of myself now as a cockroach where I'm down in the trash, just sort of gnawing on a bone or whatever cockroaches do. And like I'm terrified of being crushed underfoot, but I do feel like I will survive the indie apocalypse.
Yes. I'm going to campaign for being the cockroach of the gaming industry. Having now that I have 53 months of loss issue 53 releases that lost the money under my belt. I think I've earned the title that I'm still around even though I keep continually losing money.
I love it.
Uh,
You're putting in your time,
yeah.
and someday somebody's gonna turn over the rock that you're under, and be just amazed and disgusted.
Yes. that is every year when I do a post-mortem I go, look how much money I lost this year. but I but that's when but it's also when I see people. I've seen that sentiment among some indie devs. I'm like, you're on. I side eye and I go, I've seen your games are on like get plenty of press coverage and are on like big showcases. That's stolen cockroach valor, honestly. You got to really eat shit to as I believe a cockroach would to
Yeah.
earn the title. I do not gatekeep indie, but I gatekeep indie cockroach.
Kat, can I
It's a
ask you a
very niche
question?
Yeah.
category.
Kat, so Twitter's dead. Like it is buried and gone to me. And I am eyeballing YouTube now because I need a place to exist online. Do you have any advice as an actual YouTube person for someone who doesn't know anything? What like for a total cockroach who wants to be
Yeah.
on YouTube, what's the first step?
Well, you want to be on YouTube, or
Should I
maybe
even
you
want
need
to
to
be
just
on
invent
YouTube?
your own like cockroach tube.
Oh,
Yeah.
huh. So you're
Make
you're saying,
your own
should I not? Or are you just trying to dissuade me because you want all the views?
thing.
I see how it
No,
is.
there's room. There's room for all of us, cockroaches or otherwise, on YouTube. Do you really? Do you actually want to? Like, you're not on
Y-
YouTube and
Oh,
you
I'm
want to be
being
on YouTube?
I'm being absolutely serious. I'm now announcing my candidacy for YouTuber. Um,
Okay, we shall all vote on it, and then the votes shall decide. Um, no, I mean, depends what you want to do.
yeah.
What's your goal?
I think I want to do devlogs on YouTube. I want to share the process of making a game on YouTube, which is
Okay.
an idea.
Yeah.
No one's ever done it before. No.
Let me check real quick.
I'm-
Oh yeah,
I-
I typed in devlog, got 0 hits. It says none yet. You could be
Blue
first.
Ocean, baby. Yeah. So I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've always been a writer type, on Twitter, where it's easy to just like fart out tweets, and YouTube seems much more daunting. And so I'm trying to talk to people who know what they're doing, and I feel like I'm glad you're here. Please help.
Oh no, I've set an expectation where I know what I'm doing. I see where we've gone wrong.
Yeah,
I see.
I love that idea. I'd love to watch more dev blogs on YouTube. I always have a really good time when I watch them. So you should definitely do it. Number one.
Okay. What do you like
Yeah.
about devlogs? What draws you to them?
Oh.
What's a good one? What are the characteristics of a good devlog?
Oh, I don't know. People like there's I haven't seen any bad ones. It's just people talking about their process and like the behind the scenes
So I
of
can't
making
go
games.
wrong.
It's fascinating. Like it's just intrinsically fascinating to me. What's that?
I can't go wrong.
No, you can't go wrong. It's just actually interesting. I don't know.
All right.
I don't think
all
you have
right.
to worry about like how to spin it or anything. Like if people are interested in that, like there are a ton of people that just are intrinsically interested in hearing about that stuff. So yeah, don't worry about it. It's interesting.
All right.
yeah. It's,
Yeah, but like in terms of how to do it, and this is all my 4 or 5 years of wisdom being pulled here. So let's see. Maybe you want a decent mic, because some people get hung up on audio, but decent can be like less than $100. And when
Are
you
you saying the mic I'm using now is bad?
No, actually, a mic is. Well, I wouldn't know because I don't have like good equipment, so I'm actually not. And even if I have good equipment, honestly, like I'm terrible. I can't tell the difference between like good and bad quality audio, even when I'm listening on good equipment. It drives my boyfriend.
But the
absolutely
audience can.
insane.
yeah.
Yeah. These audio files.
And with when you're making your thumbnails, you wanna like have big letters on your thumbnail, like with exclamation marks, and you want to be on the thumbnail like pointing.
Yeah.
I have like an object, and then an arrow pointing to the object, and then a big red circle around the object.
Yes.
You won't believe this piece of my code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like, don't do this.
Yes.
Yeah,
When
never.
drawing a character art or something, and then
First code. This code will kill you.
See, you've got it. You don't even need a device. Why are you asking?
5
me?
things you never want to
Doctors-
do from a seasoned game
Doctors
developer.
hate this code.
That's
This is
perfect.
the code they don't want you to know about.
Yeah, right. Because you have to think of what people are looking for. I mean, it feels like I wish the best of luck for anyone who ever tries to market anything. It's not a life for me.
Yeah.
My technique is just attrition, marketing by attrition, and just like spreading myself through enough spaces that eventually everyone's like, "Hey, I know what that thing is."
I think it's working for you. You came up with a great name.
I just borrowed it. I just borrowed it.
Just like
I just borrowed a very bad one.
provocative. I'm immediately drawn in by it, and you are everywhere. I can't escape you.
Yes,
When I close my eyes, I see you.
That's part of my other kind of. I guess the only marketing I do is I
Here's to people in their dreams.
yeah. is that I'm a dream lord, so I can enter people's dreams and subtly inflict. But that doesn't pay any. Well, like being indie dev, that doesn't pay any money, of course.
No, you do it for love of the game.
Right. I just incept people's brains with like things about indie games. What if I paid for a game that was 20 minutes long? Sounds like a good idea.
You just
You're
incept
really
yourself into people's dreams and ask them about Toho.
I mean, probably should. But it is yeah, it is like a weird. So much of everything just seems like longevity.
Does that Toho question have you hit people who are just like they really know?
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense because there are big Toho fans.
Yeah, there are some there. You get
I'm sorry that neither of us know anything.
You get your Cernos and your Marissa's occasionally, who are like, your very nice entry level Toho, but sometimes someone will know about Clown Piece. Sometimes someone will know about a Toho that I don't know about. That girl that's in a bucket. But it is a cool, it's also like just a very neat thing that like occupies a very unique space within the indie space.
It's really inspiring.
There's very, very like open design, very kind of like welcoming sort of vibe to it. That it's like something I try to, to make the space more open is something I thrive for, maybe above everything else. To feel like I want to make indie games and not feel like everything is like a sheltered little in group that you'll never get into. And then if I can be like, hey, I like your thing. Come into my non-in group because I'm not close to anybody, thus open to everybody. Hopefully,
Toho is one of those things where I wish I feel like I need to put in the work to appreciate it. It's like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Where I can't tell the difference between the Trader Joe's $5 chuck or whatever, and like the whatever special
good wine,
because I am nobody, right? But in the Japanese indie game scene, a thing I've noticed is like they have this appreciation for the fine details of this art form, and I look at it and it's pearls before swine, but I can tell that like there's this scene where they're appreciating flavors and tannins and aromas that I can't even fathom, and I find that fascinating.
Right, because it's easy to look at and go, it's all a big pile of bullets to me.
Yes.
What makes a good pattern from a bad pattern,
Yeah, but like the way I see other people respond to it is so inspiring, and I kind of want to learn more, but I'm also very busy.
Yeah, right. That's the trickiness of life, is that we only have 24 hours in a day. You can't squeeze up more of those.
Yeah.
There's no like real way to cheat yourself more time. And there's always something else to do, and
yeah.
And what do you do with all that time? I don't know. Video games, I suppose.
No, you can't. If I had any piece of advice for people, it's don't play video games.
Yes, no.
Except for mine. That's all you. It's all you really need.
Right. Just play 2 or 3 of them. Buy them all.
Oh yeah, no. Keep buying them.
Yes.
But don't play them.
Don't play them.
Buy them 2 or 3 times. I need to get the kind of fanatical devotion of people who are like, just keep spending money on this thing, even though it's pointless to continue to spend money on it. You get nothing from it, but keep spending money on it.
Yeah, really, my goal is to become the Funko Pop of video games, where people feel compelled to buy it, just to have it.
Perhaps I should pivot into the Funkification of it all.
Indiepocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, there is a theoretical world where I do skew more like commercially viable, perhaps.
If we're making up new categories
Yeah.
or terms instead of indie game, maybe Funko Pop game could be one.
Okay.
I
There you
don't
go.
quite know what it would represent,
A
but
Funko-like.
Right. It's that kind of like, the in the same way that every Funko Pop has those vacant eyes and the big round head. Every game has a crafting system and a tower to unlock maps.
Yeah.
You don't know why all those games have those things, but they do.
You guys haven't played Dave the Diver, have you?
No.
Wait, Andrew, you have.
I have
Everybody
not.
told me I should play it.
Because
and I
okay,
didn't. I don't
just
play
wait till
them.
you see what's in there. They have put every different type of game into the one game. It has
Well,
every
that's-
game in it. Dave the Diver contains every other game.
That's how you make good games: is you put in the good design and you take out the bad design, and that's how you make them good. I know as the more good design you can put into a game, the better it becomes. That's just just thermodynamics.
And whatever the last thing that worked is now the good thing. That's why.
That's right.
That's why action games have attack buttons on shoulders, because Dark Souls did it. Dark Souls is good.
Things that used to be good become passe is the thing. You got to keep on top of the trends.
Don't ask me. I only play old video games. And
I played Super Mario World recently.
Dave, I closed playing Super Mario World before this very show.
What a wonderful game!
I was on Tubular.
Fantastic.
I've started doing a thing where using the site Retro Achievements, I've been just like doing their random challenge logs or whatever as like ways to play games, as like a random sampling kind of thing to try.
What delights me about Super Mario World that like I've come to appreciate as an adult is the the freedom of exploration that they introduced with that overworld map.
Yeah.
And I think it was there to an extent in previous Marios, but the finding the secret alternate routes in levels, finding the key in the keyhole, and like what just like otherworldly aesthetic, the keyhole growing and swallowing Mario, and then discovering a new route in the overworld just lights your brain on fire with possibility, right?
When I was a kid, that like power up zone from the ghost house felt like it wasn't real. If that makes sense.
Like a cheat, right?
Yeah.
Like I found something the
Like-
developers didn't want me to know about.
Like it's
You can
not
call it, like secret area, do not look.
right. Like it's like it doesn't quite fit on like it doesn't have like a rounded edge like the rest of the map
Oh
locations.
yeah.
It's just kind of like this weird thing off to the side, and yeah, and also like all those levels are like maybe a minute long.
They're very short. I went back and started playing Super Mario 3, and those are short levels.
Right.
But yeah, it's not overly complicated, but it's so evocative that it feels like magic. And yeah,
I think that's why we now live in an age of heavy retro randomizers. But I think it's why the original, like the Link to the Past works so well and still is like the most readable at a glance, and like I've looked at other ones and they often have like so many like rule sets and like contrivances and everything built on top of them, of like that makes them work sort of. But like Link to the Past is just straightforward. It's got a healthy tool set that does a bunch of neat stuff. And you can like work around it. And it's that same kind of like open tool set sort of thing. And you can explore a familiar space in a different way.
I've never gotten into the randomizer scene. That sounds interesting.
I look at them occasionally. I've never played anyone besides Link to the Past.
Mm.
And that's partially because I just kind of played it a lot, and I kind of had it down pat. Like I went to a friend's. I was like, hey, we can hang out. I can beat Link to the Past front to back, in one sitting, and I did. I'm like, I'm a pro at this. I'm a speed. Before we knew the concept of speed running.
I believe front to back is the way to play the normal way.
Well, I mean, I could do it in one sitting.
Yeah.
But it is all these devlogs feel like they are like making videos in and of themselves, and I would say try to avoid that at first. That's my piece of advice. Don't also turn into like a big editing project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe that's like what you have to do now. Like
Nah, you don't have to do anything.
good.
That's my piece of advice.
Yes.
You don't have to do anything. You don't actually have to do anything.
I asked a YouTuber friend of mine, and he told me the title and thumbnail and the first 10 seconds are all you really need to worry about. And if you've got them by then, if you manage to get them by then, they will just stick around for however long you go out of inertia after that.
Yeah, just don't start with like, hey everyone, welcome back
No,
to
yeah.
another episode of Da Da Da, and I'm
Yeah.
Dave. And if you like this video, don't forget to like it. I'm out. I'm out.
What's up, guys?
I am.
hey, you two,
right
how you doing? Today
Just like start. I this is like my pet peeve. Okay, because I'm very critical when I'm
Right,
watching
yeah.
videos. So
Oh, yeah.
I only speak for myself here because I'm mean. But yeah, I'm so easy to turn off in the first like
I love that.
minute. Like if you haven't gotten to the point in the first minute, or if you haven't said something to like really grab my attention or intrigue me in the first minute, like even the first 30 seconds maybe, I'm just clicking out.
Yeah.
Hey YouTube, what's up? I locked my friend in the garage, and if he can code an indie game in 30 minutes, he'll get $30,000.
I'm in. I'm watching. I don't
Yes.
care if this video is 3 hours long. I'm watching. You've got me.
Perfect. That's my hope. And it's me smiling, looking at a broken down shed, and my friend's in there. He's crying. You can see he has a computer. I look like all the life has been drained out of my eyes. But I am very
You got
rich.
that dead smile.
Yes, but I am
No
very
life
rich.
in there.
And I've got ghost kitchens everywhere.
Oh God, I sometimes have to watch Mr. Beast's. Like I'll have to look at his horrible dead-eyed smile when I'm at the checkout, because they have the stand set up with his
Oh,
shitty
God.
chocolates. Or maybe they're good. I don't know. I haven't.
I
tried
had.
them.
I'll tell you. I've had one. They're chocolate bars. They're.
I'm sorry. I don't know like anything about Mr. Beast.
I don't
and
either.
I live in Japan. He hasn't, as far as I know, hit here. There's really, you have to look at his face at the grocery store? Is he that big?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Big face on a big cardboard thing.
Wow.
If were he to release Mr. Beast chocolate bars, say 3 to 4 years ago, I would have been putting prices on those chocolate bars. I would have been very up and close with Mr. Beast himself. I would have looked at like,
Yeah, Mr. Beast. I know him.
yeah, I would have been like, I have to make signs for this shit. These Mr. Beast bars. But that's, I mean, that's, I don't know anything about him really, but I think you can survive on YouTube without being him. Are there other smaller video sites you can try to become the king of?
Oh. I don't.
Go to Daily
I don't
Motion.
want to. I'm gonna get huge on Daily Motion. I'm gonna make that site.
Yeah. You and a million student films that they don't know where to put them otherwise. Oh, I was thinking of Vimeo, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, wait, no. Wait, Vimeo AI powered? Maybe not.
No.
It says right in their thing.
What?
Vimeo AI powered
no.
video platform.
Free AI script generator. Oh my god, how am I only seeing this now?
I feel like we need to let people know that when they use AI to write a script, we can tell. Everybody can tell. That,
Right.
Like your words aren't you're not saying anything. Do you get this thing now where you're watching a video and you're like, "Oh, you're not saying anything. You didn't write this. This is nothing."
Oh, I need to pay $22 a month to get the AI script generator. Lame. Oh, wait, I can do a free trial.
Then
I'll
it gets.
never have to write another word again. This is my ticket.
I know. You just type in indie games. Tell me about them, and it goes, "Here is my essay about indie games." In the world of indie games, there's a lot of question about what is an indie game. I'm here to tell you about what I think an indie game may or may not be.
It really is the Funko Pop of writing.
Yeah. Oh my god, I just saw a truly cursed thing on there, but I can't spend all my time looking on Vimeo.com.
Yes, we can.
This is so bizarre. I don't know why.
Hold on. Sorry. I was like, why did they call it Vimeo? What is the M for? And it hit me. Is it because YouTube has the word you in it, so they were like, we need to have the word me in it?
Maybe.
Oh. I like that explanation. I don't know if it's correct, but I like it. So I'm saying that's right.
Oh, okay. I'm like, why? Like on their page, like where they have like whatever, monetization. I realize now like why these different streaming services look the same. It's because they must use Vimeo as like their back end.
Yeah.
Because like it was a screenshot of Criterion channel. I'm like, I mean that channel is distinctly like hand curated. Like that's the point of it. But it must be that like you can sign up and like use like an enterprise package, and like Vimeo provides like your video backend. Because I tried another streaming service as well, and they're like, why this looks identical to Criterion and how its apps look.
Huh.
And they must just all be on the Vimeo backend.
Now, Andrew, are you a Criterion sicko?
I'm a Criterion pervert, you might even say.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense why we were talking about Tarkovsky's Stalker at length earlier. I have such a hard time finding something that I want to watch on Criterion because all their descriptions are like the director, directed by, starring, one winner of this award, ... and you have to like click through to read what the movie's actually about. And there's I've had like life-changing experiences watching Criterion movies because they've got stuff that like nobody else will carry. But I've also had extremely scarring experiences because out of nowhere they'll just show you something like a cow being slaughtered or something that you can't unsee. And I was wondering if you have pro tips as a Criterion sicko for how to get more out of enjoying weird movies.
Well, I would say, I mean, if you have a channel subscription,
yes,
yeah. pop on the 24/7 every now and then.
Okay. Okay.
It's a cool thing. Like before we watched Ricky, the story of Ricky last night, while we were sitting around, I told my friend like, hey, just pop up that 24/7, see what's on there. And it was like, I forget the name of the movie, but it was like a Chantal Ackerman like musical that she had directed, I believe. I forget the name of it though. And I found stuff like that. Like I watched a Golden 80s. That's what I was thinking of. And it seemed like it was a musical set within like a shopping mall and about just a lot of stuff going on, you know?
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and like I had watched, I was packing one day and I like, oh, let me turn it on, and it was Tampopo, so I was like, I'll watch the end of Tampopo, and then it rolled into, what was it?
Pat, have you ever seen Tampopo?
Wait, is that the one about the noodle shop?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? God, yeah, I watched that when I was in at uni, probably in 2007 or 8.
That
I
think,
barely
like-
remember it, but I do remember liking it.
Oh, I think it might be the best film ever made. But
Big
yeah, I
call.
think seeing it in university is like the ideal time to see that movie.
Yeah, I did. I'm upset that I don't remember more of it.
Oh, definitely look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget, and then it just like rolled into another movie after that. That was like, trying to think. I forget the name of it, but it was like, was it about like tulpas and
Oh goodness.
trying to remember. It's got like a single name word like curse or something like that. I forget the name of it, but there was anyway, and I just kind of sat and watched it.
That's lovely.
And because I was like, I finished Tempo, I just rolled to this. And then if I was like not going to sleep, I could have just rolled straight into Eraserhead. But like,
what a double feature.
yeah, I wasn't gonna.
They go so well together.
Yeah, but I was like,
Chocolate
I'm
peanut
like,
butter.
I'm like, it's 1 a.m. There's no need to watch Eraserhead.
Or maybe that's the best time to watch
I
it.
mean,
Yeah,
maybe.
no, that's the ideal time to watch.
Actually, I would say
Eraserhead.
that is the ideal time. Then you wake up and you're like, did I watch Razorhead or did I just like trip
Yes.
out and have a really crazy dream?
My
Yes.
my dad, when my mother was in labor having me, it was taking a really long time, and he had to, he had to go, and I'm trying to remember the specifics of the story, but his friend, he was like trying to keep his mind off, the worry, the fear of his kid coming out wrong or something terrible happening. And his friend was like, "Here, I got a movie you should watch. It's called Razorhead."
Oh God.
And so
Oh my
he watched
God.
he watched the Razorhead for the first time the day before I was born. Which I think is the funniest practical joke anyone's ever played on anyone.
So cursed. That's so mean.
Yeah. So he was just terrified that I would come out as a bundle of shrieking
As a weird little
monster.
dinosaur
Yeah,
thing.
as a
Yeah.
little Funko Pop.
You just like you have this vague memories growing up of your father like staring at a radiator and you're unsure why. Until much later in life. It was Cure. Cure is the movie I was thinking of.
Okay.
And it's to do with like possession and other strange stuff. It's an odd thing, but it was a thing I was unaware of and may not have watched. Had it not just like rolled into it after Tampopo.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is what I've noticed on Criterion, and please tell me if your experiences reflect this. If
Yeah.
the movie starts with the Janus Films logo, it's going to be great.
That's often a good signifier, because that's like one that they've got in house and everything.
Okay.
But it is like, I mean, it's the fun thing about the channel though is like they like go off the beaten path that the kind of their mainline like numbered versions have.
Mm.
So they'll put like Freddy Got Fingered on the Criterion channel.
I did see that and I did watch it.
I did not. How was the experience?
Yeah. Can I talk about my history with that movie?
Yes.
You must, in fact.
That's the only movie in my whole life where I've walked out of the theater.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's an exciting sentence. I had no idea where it was going.
Story.
It's
This is a
because
story.
as a youth, I was probably in high school. That movie was in theaters, and I had a friend who was a big Tom Green fan. I didn't know much about Tom Green. And he invited me on a double date. A double blind date. He took a girl, and her friend was my date, and we went to go see the Freddy Got Fingered. And it was sitting there.
Best date ever.
Sitting there in the theater, realizing what was happening on screen and looking over to these poor girls who were severely uncomfortable was one of the most mortifying experiences of my life, and I felt terrible. And I believe it was we made it about I timed it when I rewatched it. I think it was like 19 minutes in. I believe it was the scene where where Tom Green is delivering a baby, and he's like swinging it around by the umbilical cord. I think this is what happens. It's all such a blur. We finally said, do you want to just leave? And I never talked to I don't know how he worked out with his date, but I never talked to that girl ever again because I was
I mean that you just can't go anywhere from there.
No.
That's the first day. I mean, I guess you could say that it could only go up from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Set
We
set
could
the bar
bond
nice
over
and
our
low.
shared trauma.
Or as far as
Yeah, watching it now, it really is a masterpiece of surrealist like you can watch that movie and see a direct line to like I think you should leave and like Rick and Morty. Like you can see how it doesn't make sense and it's not good, but it really did make an impact, for better or for worse.
That reminded me of there's a theater in Boston, and every so often there was a group that would hold a thing called Trash Night, which is, as you can imagine, bad movies or trash movies. And they with COVID they brought it online to Twitch, and the one I just watched recently, they said of it, like they have like an intro kind of thing, like not a monologue, but what would be like an intro to the movie. And they said something to the effect of, wish I remember the exact quote, like they put it, they were talking about the of course the classic gamer film Double Dragon, and they said
I've
like
never seen it.
They
said made a Double Dragon movie?
They did. It has a mystical amulet that is two pieces that have two dragons.
Okay.
But there was a.
It would be a letdown if they only had the one.
Yeah, like it was just a singular amulet. There's Robert Patrick's in it, as a villain. But
Freddy Got Fingered has 10% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The world just really wasn't ready for that movie.
And maybe it's ready now?
No, absolutely not. We're not there yet.
Now is the moment.
I will
23
say,
years later.
there are some really big laughs in it. There's the scene where Tom Green is playing on an organ and he's got strings tied to his fingers, attached to pulleys on the ceiling, and descending down with hanging sausages that move when he moves his fingers. And his father comes home and he sings, "Daddy, would you like some sausage?" Is brilliant. It is like, it's performance art. It's, you can't erase it from your mind. It's laugh out loud funny. And I do think he was onto something. Structurally, like, the movie is fascinating because it's a movie that keeps trying to move its plot forward despite having Tom Green trying to throw it off the rails every moment he's on screen. It's fascinating.
Right, especially since he is ostensibly the star of his movie.
Right. No, but he's like, he is the antagonist to the production of his own movie. It's fascinating.
Amazing. You are just making me want to watch it
Yeah.
while you talk about it.
Now
You're making me want to take someone on a date and watch it on the date.
Blind double date.
I'm gonna have to find 3 other people
yes,
and just recreate your moment from 23 years ago.
rent out a theater, and
You should do that. You should actually do that. That's like a great setup for like an article or something. I'd read that article. Like, I went on the worst blind double date 23 years later involving Freddie got fingered, and then I like tried to recreate it in the present day.
and instead of yeah, it's.
I can't believe we're talking about this movie.
But that's, I mean, that's like sort of, I think, I've been answering a lot of email interviews lately.
Mm-hmm.
And things that come up are like, I constantly get questions like, oh, what should you do? What kind of piece of advice would you give our audience? Or like, what do you want to tell our audience? And I keep falling back to, just try things, you know? Just like get outside the realm of whatever the algorithm feeds you, whatever like the mass market feeds you, and just like try something. Maybe you'll like it, or maybe you won't. But
I think, yeah, if you try Freddy Got Fingered and you like it, I think that you'd be disappointed in yourself, or like really worried.
right.
But I mean, that was the case for me. I came out and said, well, like, why was I laughing? Why did I enjoy that so much more than I expected?
Yeah, I mean, we were in like a different era of, you know, comedy has, like, you're right, shaped and changed. Like, what does Freddy Got Fingered look like in a post? I think you should leave post Tim and Eric world, you know.
Truly, yeah. I mean, it's still like they're I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about the Citizen Kane of video games, but when are we going to get the Freddy Got Fingered of video games? That's really
Dave, I'm looking for it every single day.
Someone who pushes the envelope so hard that even like, what, that movie was made, what, 50 years ago? So much decades later, people are still saying, you know, I still don't think we're ready for this.
Right. It's just 23 years old. No big deal.
Oh, uh-huh. I was only a little off.
Yeah, I mean, almost closer to 50 than not 50, you know? But that is, right, because they have the whole, like, raspberry selection. And I think that's, like, working out, like, the fun, that is, like, showing the fun of, like, looking for things, you know? And exploring, like, celebrating trash as much as you celebrate good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you're stuck celebrating the good things, you kind of find your way into often just like landing on, let's say, celebrating mediocre indie games. Perhaps.
Circling right back.
Right, because you kind of land on the most agreeable works,
Right.
which are
And
things.
then
you
you
know.
become Jeff Keighley, and you don't
Yeah,
want to become that.
No.
yeah. The line that they said in their intro was they may not have made a good movie, but maybe they made something better. And
Yes.
and that it struck with me because it's a thing that I think a lot about, like trash cinema that I really enjoy, or just like trash art that I like. Like, because I mean, those things have like that spark of humanity in them that I think is what I crave in art.
I love that.
Yeah, like no one else could probably make Freddy Got Fingered except for Tom Green.
No. I mean, yeah, because yeah.
Like for better or for worse, in the same way, plenty of people couldn't make a good movie, like no one else is gonna make what's her I'm drawing I just saw her, like no one else is probably gonna make what's it called, where is she, what's her name, like oh no, I don't know how to pronounce it, A Portrait of a Lady on Fire,
Oh, sure.
besides Celine Sciamma.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's French, but
Yeah. French baffles me.
yes.
Oh, I studied French for 6 years.
Oh.
A long time ago.
Did y'all ever have the moment where you realize that Denis Villeneuve isn't French, he's Canadian?
You mean 2 seconds ago? I have, in fact.
Well, you hear that name,
yeah.
and you have like you're like, oh, artistic Frenchman.
Is he at least from Quebec?
Yeah, apparently he's Canadian.
Okay, he's from Quebec,
and then
though.
You're like, oh.
So
Yeah,
Wow.
partial credit.
yeah,
I mean, no, like it makes sense why he's named that, but he is still Canadian.
yes.
And so, I don't know. It's like my weird brain is like, ooh, fancy European. And then it's like Canada is so much more. Oh no, like that's like that's nearly where I'm from.
Right. I mean, if you really step away from his work, he's just an elevated Verhoeven, or Cronenberg rather, or Verhoeven. Is Verhoeven also Canadian?
What? I don't know. No, Verhoeven.
No, Verhoeven is like German,
Dutch,
right?
I believe.
Dutch, yeah.
Yeah.
Cronenberg's Canadian.
Can we talk about Dune?
The one Dune that I've seen, David Lynch's
Kat,
Dune.
do you have feelings about Dune?
I have seen the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, and I've seen that Dune that David Lynch directed.
Oh no.
That's all I've seen.
I was
I'm
so
sorry.
prepared to hate Villeneuve's Dune, and I don't know why. I should have given him more credit, because he is a talented filmmaker.
Yeah.
I have like an irrational hatred for the composer Hans Zimmer, which we don't need to talk about. But
Rational.
I became obsessed. I think Villeneuve's Dune, and especially the second one, is the best. It's the definitive version of Dune.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, that wasn't a high bar to clear, but
Yeah.
Wow.
the versions have not been great.
The Lynch one is weird, but it's like it's got a lot of style to it.
Yeah.
It
No,
has
it's got
a
that
style.
flavor. Like, I feel like my biggest issue with Villeneuve's Dune is like the still suits are boring, and like there's a lot of good costuming in that movie, and then there's some costuming that just looks like a straight to DVD Starship Troopers sequel, and that makes me sad. Whereas Lynch's Dune is a mess, but God, it's delicious to look at.
Yeah. That's like, not a day goes by that I don't think of Sting in this weird thong,
So
Beautiful.
that's what I thought about the second Dune. Like I thought it was delicious to look at.
Oh my God, yeah. Going
Cinematography wise.
going into like the Harkonnens planet with
Oh, that was so good, dude. It was
the
quite like
infrared,
unnecessary to the whole film to have that like huge sequence on
but
the black and white planet, but God, it
they
was
really just
so
gave us like a
kick-ass.
surrealist art film in this blockbuster movie, and it's like,
God damn.
I love this. I went with some friends, and there were a couple of girls there who knew nothing about Dune, and were going because they had big crushes on Timothy Chalamet.
Understandable.
And yeah, absolutely. Um, and it was so rewarding to me as a person who's like, uh, kind of a nerd about Dune. That these girls who previously knew nothing had all these questions about. Okay, so like, Shai Hulud, they is it a god? Are they just regular worms? What's going on? And we got to talk Dune. And I'm just very happy for hot boy Timothy Chalamet bringing in a whole new era of Dune heads.
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy for all the Dune nerds who get to share
Yeah,
their love now. I guess that's kind of what like the Lord of the Rings trilogy did like 20
yeah,
years ago too.
and
I was like,
likewise
this
for me.
thing is finally cool. It's finally cool. And my dad is very happy about it because he's like the biggest Dune nerd on planet Earth.
Oh, nice. And
Yeah.
likewise for me,
So I'm
I'm
happy for
glad,
him.
like, as a person who came for Dune, I get to become a Timothy Chalamet head. I get to really see the appeal of cute boy. So,
Mm.
yeah, it works both ways.
Yeah. It's the true four quadrant film. Worm lovers, boy lovers, lore lovers, and spice
I'm
lovers.
I don't know, guy. I'm just here for Big Worm.
Listen, you say there's worm sign in the movie, sign me up.
I haven't been this excited since Tremors.
Huh. I don't know. I feel like they started making those worms fly, and I'm not showing up for any of that.
Mm. And they're making. I haven't watched the trailer because I refuse, but I heard they're making a new Beetlejuice, and they had sandworms too. I feel like, is it the year of the worm?
I feel like every year deserves
Chinese,
to
the
be.
Chinese calendar, the Chinese astrology. Yeah, is it the
Yeah.
year of the worm yet?
One can only hope. Why?
That's there, right? It's like rabbit, rat,
Worm.
dragon,
Yeah. Yeah.
worm. Yeah.
Next year is Year of the Cockroach. Is
Yes.
what I'm declaring.
Yes, it's coming.
It's gonna be our year.
That's a. I mean, depending on how next week goes, it might be. This year might be my year. I guess it all depends.
What's happening for you next week? Did I miss something?
I have
Is there a big announcement?
I have a big crowdfunding thing starting next week.
Oh.
Oh, good luck.
Well, it's partial. It's a like that whole. We'll get into this in a second because when we get into people talking about their stuff, but like this whole Iron Circus collabo thing. That is them starting their game section as well. I guess. That I'm loosely attached to. It's a very weird project in my brain.
That's exciting.
Yes. There's cool games coming out of it. Trying to open the doors of like what indie publish. Trying to bring someone who has 17 years of indie comic publishing into publishing games a little, And it brings in a very different sensibility.
Yeah.
Ideally.
That's good. I feel like, yeah, we like any kind of cross discipline, cross pollination. Shake us up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get us out of our comfort zones.
Oh, that's all I'm trying. That's what I try to do constantly. That's why like none of my cover artists are game developers, or working games at all.
That's
And
fun.
That's why I did that Koosh comic like collab issue to try and like keep it all from becoming like an insular. Two people get all the same work, and it's just 5 people talking to each other again.
Yeah.
But that's life. I'm closing windows. Speaking of that's life, we're almost at the point where I'm saying that's a show, because we're hitting 2 hours of this show, which is enough hours for me as far as these shows go. But with that, before we start wrapping up properly, Kat, Dave, do you have any other like last pressing matters to get to? Any sort of I needed to say this about that, or I had a question about this or that.
This is like the part in job interviews where they ask me if I have questions and I blank.
Well, then that's fine. You don't have, unlike a job interview, this is not a secret graded segment. This is just a question that you don't have. You can say no, and I go okay.
I guess just like if you're a fan of dropping blocks.
Yes. Oh, well, Dave, we're getting to that exact section.
Oh,
that's what follows this part. Is the promotional section.
Okay, I'm jumping the gun.
You are. But don't worry. I would never miss anything. A chance to. That's what the whole point of podcasts are, isn't it? to have a place to promote your work.
You're not supposed to say that out loud.
No, that's the whole point of them is to go on there to promote your work. That said, let's go circular wise on the screen as I see it. Kat, we talked a lot about these videos in this Pixel Day, but if people are looking for that, looking to find these videos, where can they find them?
Go to YouTube and type in Pixel a Day. And,
Perfect.
Maybe start with I have a good video on city levels, which is my penultimate video.
Yes.
Or my video on Mystery, or my video on Rain World and Outer Wilds are some of the best ones. Or watch the spicy one I just made on indie games. Do what you please. I also write articles and stuff on games and other things on Medium, so you can go to Medium and also search Pixel a Day.
Yeah. Go. YouTube's got all the stuff there, all links. You've got links to links to links to links to links. It all links to itself and each other. I'm
gonna say yes.
Yeah. Oh, I was just clicking through your stuff. That's why I was making.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that. In fact, that was the case.
There you go.
That it easily reached at youtube.com/@pixeladay. Because I guess that's how YouTube works. Dave, now's the chance to shine. Where can people find your work? Should you want them to find it?
I've been scattered to the 4 winds. Where do you find my work?
Yeah. For one, you have a website, I believe.
I do. I need to redo it. It's like very oriented towards getting client work and not selling video games. Well, you can go to davemakes.itch.io, or you can go to mixolumia.com, and that will show you all the places where you can buy Mixolumia. And don't feel like wishlist it on Steam and wait for a sale. It's fine. But if you like dropping blocks, and you want more of that, I have just a small announcement. Is that I've been living in fear of becoming the person who makes block dropping games, and so I shelved my ideas for so long, but I am working on a new one. I'm back in the game, baby, and I don't have details to share right now. I'm keeping it very secret. But you're clever people. Your audience, clever people. Find me, follow me wherever I may be. And news will hopefully be coming. I'm going to launch my YouTube career and destroy Mr. Beast.
Take him down. Finally, somebody. It's gotta.
And
And become king of Vimeo.
That's right.
Which, at last.
I'm going to put the me in Vimeo. And yeah, hopefully I will have something to show y'all for a new thing you can play. Incorporating all the lessons that I've learned in trying to overcome the mediocrity of cockroach development.
Well, I hope one day you can find yourself from outside. You can scurry from underneath that refrigerator, and do a reverse Kafka back to a person, I suppose.
That's right.
But then you have to deal with the bizarreness of humanity, or wondering what is a Kafka's what is a cockroach's Kafka? Like what would they be dealing with if not not what was a cockroach's version of bureaucracy?
Yeah. The cockroach is like, oh my god, just dealing with like capitalism.
You're right. He's like, I was better as a cockroach.
Food isn't just free on the ground.
That Gregor fellow had the right idea. Can't believe I freaky. That's my. I'm just soft pitching my film reboot of my film adaptation of Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis, which is like a screwball comedy where a person switches bodies with a cockroach. It's one of those.
Bronzy Friday. Is that anything?
It's close. I might put it on my pitch deck.
All right.
I'd watch this movie or play this game.
I feel like we need. Who's the guy? He's in like a trillion movies that everybody hates. The hot girls, the hot chick. Do you know who I'm talking about?
A weigh-in? Is he a hot chick?
No. He was in a hot girl. Or white girl.
Schneider.
No,
Rob Schneider.
Oh, right,
Rob
yes.
Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Playing a cockroach that has been turned into a man.
No.
Who's got Happy Madison on speed dial so I can get this done?
I need.
Okay, but only if it's directed by David Lynch.
Oh my god.
Is he friends with Adam Sandler? Does he?
Could Tom Green be involved somehow?
Well, you know what? This is the kind of thing I can do if I had a lot of money. If you want to help me get a lot of money, go to Indiepocalypse.com and buy issues of Indiepocalypse. I mean, that's not actually the best way of giving me money, because 80% of that goes to the developers included in each issue. But you know what I'm saying, folks. Indiepocalypse.com. It's a cool collection of alternative indie games. I use alternative and underground in a lot of words besides my version of skipping indie has been using words like alternative or underground and just eschewing the word indie entirely.
Love it.
Or using indie when I know I need to wiggle its way into someone's brain where they want to hear the word indie, but it means nothing anymore. If you would like to get involved and join Indiepocalypse with a game, Indiepocalypse.com/submit will get you there. All the regular things /Patreon /etc. will get you where you need to go. I of course host. I've started putting games on what I call tapes, which are cassette cases with little USB sticks inside of them. I've got an open tape market, which is pizzasprings.com/tape market, and pizzasprings.com/tape club, which is like my kind of curated monthly tape collection. Whose Lila just joined as of like 2 days ago is the June release, with many more to come. That's it. Oh, right. On Monday, Iron Circus across Indiepocalypse launches on backer kits. I think you can go to indiepocalypse.com/Iron Circus, and that'll get you where you need to go. Go there and get 6 new games by cool developers and teams of developers and comic arts, including myself. I'm making a game because I wanted to. That's it, I think. I don't have anything else to say. Whatever. I'm here. if you're here, you probably already know what my stuff is. You don't need me to pitch it to you again. Kat, Dave, thank you both for joining me here today.
Thank you for having us.
A pleasure.
Thank you. Sweet dreams, everyone.
Yes, sweet dreams, or it's a nice start to your day.
Or nightmares if you're still thinking about David Lynch directing a Rob Schneider film where he's a cockroach.
Yes. Until then, goodbye.